I guess Pancakes and Johnny aren't showing up.
You want to talk Spider-Man?
Yeah!
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go!
So, Grim.
Yeah, bud.
Question.
Answer.
I know you liked Across the Spider-Verse as much as I did. I don't know if you liked it more than what I did, but I really loved the movie. And I even said in our review, my third favorite Marvel movie.
I don't know if I like it that much, but I do enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, good. So, is it safe to say that we both have some issues with the movie?
Yes. Absolutely yes. There are some inconsistencies in this movie that, once again, I feel like this is going to sound a little weird to say, but I feel like it suffers a little bit from being a sequel. Now, when I say that, I'm not completely against sequel movies. Hell, honestly, one of my favorite movies of all time is a sequel. But I feel like the people behind the camera, the people in the offices, in the studios, don't pay all that much attention to the original, and things get lost in the ramblings of making the movie. I feel like that sometimes. There was a point in the movie where one of the bad guys... Well, Spade, it's been out for a second. Should we talk about certain things? Or should we reveal certain things?
There have been so many spoiler videos about this movie, more so than any other movie I've ever seen on YouTube.
Real talk. Right before we start recording this, I actually just told Spade, right after I got home, maybe the next day, I've more spoiler videos out than Endgame.
Yes.
It's a lot.
Yes.
So what I'm talking about essentially is the Spot. At one point that I thought the big bad guy of the movie gave away in his origin story that, like, yes, you hit me with a bagel. And yes, this was a throwaway joke in the first movie. And this is kind of nitpicky a little bit, but the character that they used for this one versus the guy who actually got a bagel thrown at him in the first one looked like two completely different guys. And that's when I'm like, yes, it can, like, I understand it was a throwaway joke and someone thought, it'd be really funny if we use that one guy that got a bagel thrown at him. It'd be really funny if that worked. Yeah, it would be. You know what? It's just dumb enough to actually work. And I feel like you could have paid if you were going to do that, you could pay a little bit more attention to, like, the design of the guy. That's all I'm saying. It's nitpicky, but it is what it is. What inconsistencies did you see, Spade? Well,
all right.
Let's pick your brain for a hot second.
I don't know if it's an inconsistency. I think more of it's like a plot hole in the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, they kept saying that Miles is an anomaly, right?
Yeah.
And they kept saying that he was never supposed to be Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
So why is Miguel so, like, eager to keep him away from having his father become captain and passing away? Like, that makes no sense. If you were never supposed to be a Spider-Man, then how does that affect your life? It shouldn't affect Miles at all. Right now, he got bit by the spider from Earth 42, right?
Yes,
so why would this all matter to him? Does it change because you became Spider-Man? I don't think so, unless that's what their excuse is going to be.
I don't think so either. Also, mind you, the way how they make it sound, they make it seem that, like, Miles literally went out into the jungles of Africa to find this spider, put it on his hand. Meantime, very much like every other spider person, spider comes down the web, or in this case, crawled up his pants, found his way on his hand, did the bit, and just...
Stroke of luck. Of luck.
Yeah. And luck, destiny, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
But at the same time, though, that it makes it seem like that he actually saw out the spider. Destiny, luck, whatever. Also, something else I want to talk about, too. The fact that they said in this movie that in every Spider-Man, a captain has to die, which I think is too specific. Yes, Spider-Man, there has to be a death in order for them to become like a real Spider-Man in
Right.
so many words. Peter B. Parker, his uncle died. Miles Morales now, his uncle died. Gwen Stacy, her best friend died. Penny Parker, her father died. Spider-Man Noir, I forget his name. Nicolas Cage, the best one, which I hope he shows up in the next one. Please.
He has to. He was at the end. He was at the end of the movie.
I know
Part of Gwen's
his
team.
character was, but we can only pray that he actually returns to this. But
Right.
anyway, his father or his uncle Benjamin passed away. Not once did they say that they were all police captains. It was just happenstance. But in order to turn it like this, like, oh, your dad needs to die or whatever, or we need to prevent his death. I'm like, why? You don't need that. You're looking for a very specific sacrificial lamb for this, which I think is completely unnecessary, especially when Spider-Man is kind of surrounded by death. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but he is the epitome of with great power comes great responsibility. We all know the line, and it proves true. At least in our main Spider-Man with Uncle Ben. He did nothing. He suffered the consequences of doing nothing. And now he has to realize, if I do nothing, someone else gets hurt. They tried to do this with MCU, and that's something, just like as a side note real quick, two things I just want to bring up with MCU Spider-Man. Them not saying in Civil War, with great power comes great responsibility, still burns me to this day, in them just saying that, like, oh, well, if you do nothing and people get hurt, they get hurt because of you. I felt like it was very messy, but that was just me. Also,
They saved it for No Way Home. That's why.
They did. But, again, No Way Home, that's when I really felt like this version of Spider-Man is truly Spider-Man, not just a kid in a costume anymore.
Right.
Like,
not Iron Man Jr.
Yes, exactly. When we had the death happen, I'm like, okay, yes, this is a Spider-Man I can officially get behind now. But that, like I said, that's just like some inconsistencies that I personally don't agree with. I'm just like, they're not major problems, but they're like things that could be easily fixed. And they just...
You know what? You say that though, but I feel like, in part 3, right, is another 2.5 hour movie long. Yeah. That there could be a possibility that it just doesn't mix. I mean, could it go wrong? Yes. Will it go wrong? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. We don't know. But I really do feel like these are not small inconsistencies. Like, these are not small anomalies, right? Mm-hmm. So unless at the end of the next movie, it is revealed that, oh, these things don't need to happen, and we just have to let the course of time just happen, so that way things can follow their own destiny.
You know what? I'm going to speculate something right now with everything that you just said. I'm going to make a bit of a, if you'll call it, a grim prediction for the next Miles Morales movie. I think we're going to get Madam Web. Or we at least deserve to get Madam Web in this movie, just to realize that all the universes are connected in this giant web, essentially. And she's actually like, because you do have Spider-Man 2099 pretty much taking over for Madam Web's spot right now.
Technically, yes.
Which I kind of think she may come in, smack up Miguel a little bit, and be like, hey, no, this is how you do this whole universe thing, okay? Stop doing my job. Because right now, it does appear that Miguel O'Hara is at least one of the antagonists for the next movie.
But you don't think it's too late to bring in Madam Web? I feel like if she was to be showing up into this series, it should have been at least in the third act of Across the Spider-Verse.
Well,
unless she's in the right beginning of Beyond the Spider-Verse. I think Beyond the Spider-Verse?
I believe so, yeah. I would say yes, but we had I don't know about you guys. I had no idea that we were making a third movie. No idea. I'm just like, this is a nice touch. We're doing like a sequel movie. Huzzah, huzzah. Do we really need it? No, but it's great. And I'm here for it. And then, like I said, the entire first movie, things started getting weird towards the end of the second movie. And I'm like, wait, how much time do we have left? What's going on? And then we got the big to be continued, and I'm like, that's genius. Now it all makes sense. Thank God. So that's why I feel somewhere, if we didn't have Miguel in the second movie doing his things, and yes, we should have had Madam Web doing it. But because we are having a third movie, I feel like we will actually benefit from her being in it in the third movie, whether it's at one point or another. Even if she shows up in the second act, just to be like, okay, no, listen, Miguel's done this all wrong. Third act now is trying to fix this huge mess.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel like she could definitely fit into that movie.
Well, listen, you have another 11 months to go, right? Or 10
yeah,
months?
Right.
What is it? March 2024. So
something like that. Yeah. You know what though? Honestly, at least it's not 2 years later or 3 years later.
Well, that's because there was a big gap. The first movie came out in 2018?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, there was a big gap, and I think they did both movies back to back, so that way they can have one right after the other. Because realistically, this movie already has surpassed all expectation. It opened to almost definitely 3 times the amount of what it originally did in the first movie. So,
Absolutely.
For argument's sakes, if it had a $20 million day, back in 2018, it had 60 million for the day. But even though those numbers are totally completely wrong, it was 120 million that they did in one weekend.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
I feel like I feel like this movie could come close to being $1 billion property.
That'd be nice. That'd be very nice.
It might rival Mario.
My only issue with that is that we all need to shut up about Sony then. Because we all talk a lot of smack about Sony and their choices. Speaking of which, Sony couldn't help themselves, I feel like, in the sequel movie with a lot of things. Because they did reference the MCU and this as their own universe. They brought in a couple of their properties that they own in terms of flashbacks or things that are happening in other universes. They brought in another character to play Prowler as a live action. Yeah, didn't see that coming at all. And yeah, because of that, they're going to make millions off of this. And I feel like if they do, we need to shut up because they're making money. Smart.
It's very smart.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah. I mean, any other inconsistencies that we can think of,
Like I said, something I actually told you earlier. This was just oh my God, that's right. I can't believe it actually connected. The spider in the first movie, we actually saw glitch out a little bit. And then they mentioned in the second one that that wasn't supposed to be your spider. And after rewatching, I'm like, oh my God, that's right. Yeah, it is from a different universe. Oh my God. To which raises the question, how did that spider get into Miles' universe? Maybe we find out in the third one.
Well, I mean, Spot did say that he's the reason why that spider came to that universe.
Oh, well, then I'm just a fool.
But we don't know how. Was it because he was fiddling, trying to get Vanessa back, or to take Kingpin to another universe where he is, with Vanessa? I don't know. But there's another one. What about the fact that people were saying that he didn't get his powers until after Spidey died, after Peter Parker died. Right? Didn't he
Wait,
he got
no.
bit? He got bit.
No, he
before.
did. He did. No, he did. He did get them before Peter died because he was getting all these things. He was crawling on the walls. His pants were too short and everything. So he went back down into the sewer to try to find that spider just to be like, am I crazy or not? And that's when we run into the final fight with of Spider-Man with Kingpin and Goblin and everything. So, yeah, he did get his powers before that, which, again, is like, movie, you're wrong. Or, Miguel, maybe you're just ill-informed.
Or he's confusing the universes with a different universe.
Once again, Miguel trying to do the job of Madam Web. Can't keep up with everything, so we'll see. Consequences and their actions.
Well, in that case, so these are our thoughts. Let us know what you guys think, and do that like, subscribe, and other than that, we out.
Roll
credits.